Hail and well met, traveler. This is Rowan. The channel is We Damage We. It's Sunday. That means that Jim at Jim's Books Reading and Stuff has released a new tag, the C tag. So let's see what it's all about. First, C is for countries. You've got Cuba, Colombia, Chile, the Congo, Cyprus, Czechia, China, Canada. What was the last book you read by an author from Canada or China or another country beginning with C? Well, I'm going to go with another country starting with C. And I'm going to go with By Night in Chile by Roberto Bolaño. I read this a couple months ago. This book is really fascinating. It's very short. It's just over 100 pages long, but packs a lot in to it. Its short length. It's about a priest, Father Sebastian Lacroix, who is a Chilean priest and literary critic and poet, and he, in the course of the book, he believes that he is dying, and so he's sort of reflecting on his life on his final night, going over a whole bunch of stuff. There's the plot is pretty loose, I would say. There's one extended section that talks about him being hired to do this study on different parishes throughout Europe and like the historical conservancy of the buildings and how pigeon shit is like rotting all these buildings, and so all of the priests become falconers and like train these like hawks to take down the pigeons so that they stop shitting on these historical buildings and having their shit destroy them. It's a very interesting book. There's another part where he gets hired to teach a class of the fundamentals of Marxism to a group of government people, including General Pinochet. So Pinochet shows up in this book as a character. Yeah, it was very good. Bolaño is fantastic, always, and this one was no exception. Next, C is for Canine and Cat. Show me yours. Well, not to get too heavy, but I don't have cats anymore because of life circumstances. But I do live with some cats that belong to my parents, so let me cut away to some footage of them. So I went looking for my parents' cats, and they're hiding in the darkness under the bed in their bedroom, so I can't get any footage of them. So here's a previously taken picture of one of them, Beetle. He's a big boy. Alright, next, C is for classic. What was the last classic book you read? I don't know if this counts per se, but I'm going to say Stoner by John Williams. It's like 56 years old, so I think that's old enough to be considered a classic at this point. And it is fantastic. It's a classic, deservedly so, considered a classic. C is for children's book. What was the last children's book you read for your own enjoyment? The last one I read was about 5 years ago. I read the book The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. I was in charge of running the young adult section at Half Price Books for a while, and this one, I don't know, it just jumped out at me, and I read the back of it and was like, this sounds like fun. It's about these children who are extremely smart, who get recruited into this secret society for gifted children, and then go undercover at this very strange school to try and figure out what is happening there. And it was fine, you know. I'm not I don't really read children's literature, young adult literature at all, but it was fun. It was an easy, quick, enjoyable enough read. So yeah. But like I said, that was a number of years ago. I haven't read a kid's book since. C is for coloring book. Adult coloring books are a thing. Have you tried one? What are your thoughts on this? I know a lot of people who have and enjoy them. I just don't. It doesn't appeal to me personally. Um, I don't feel the need to like occupy my hands with things in that way while I'm doing other things. I feel like most people do it while they're doing other things, like watching TV and stuff, and it doesn't appeal to me. C is for comedy. What is the funniest book you've ever read? Two immediately sprang to mind. The first being The Instructions by Adam Levin, a book that I talk about on here all the time, which is extremely funny. I think of like the character Boy Star, who's a sort of young Justin Bieber-like pop sensation, or wants to be a pop sensation. He hasn't like made it to the mainstream yet. His fame is localized to the greater Chicagoland area, I think. Very funny. The other thing I think of is, of course, A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole, which is, another sort of modern classic, and so funny. That, if you don't know, is the story of a man named Ignatius J. Riley, who is this intellectual, slovenly mama's boy. He's basically a NEET before NEET was a thing that's not in education, employment, or training. If you don't know, it's like people who live in their parents' basement. Not me, but who, after a series of misfortunes, is forced to go out into the workforce. So, like, for a while he works at, like, the Levi's Pants Factory and hot dog salesman. It's a very goofy, very funny book. C is for comic books. Can you explain to me the attraction of comic books? I think that comic books are able to tell stories in a unique way because of the visual aspect of them. They're able to, when done right, tell stories that can't be told in other formats. Or if they try to be told in other formats, they are lessened. Watchmen is a great example where it's taking the idea of superhero comic books and using the medium to subvert and sort of be a critique on the form itself. You've also got things that are able to evoke like something that I think of like Junji Ito's Uzumaki, where you can pair the art that is very horrifying and grotesque with narrative in a way that you can't, the art on its own doesn't have that narrative structure. I don't know. I think that if you don't think that comic books or graphic novels are, high literature, I would argue that you probably just haven't read the right ones, or that you're just closed-minded. Sorry. And finally, C is for cookbook. Do you have a favorite? I don't. I largely use the internet for recipes. I do have a lot of respect for America's Test Kitchen and the amount of science that they put into testing recipes and, trying to boil it down to the best of the best of the best. Like, we cooked, 100 different apple pies and figured out this is the best way to cook an apple pie. It's not infallible, but I think it's interesting and works largely. And it's a TV show too, so enjoyable. And they test gadgets and stuff too, which is cool. So yeah, C-Tag. Thanks for watching.